Yet he saw in that game, he is going to release a book next month, My Journey So Far. Part of it, he has a go at Thomas Tuchel about not starting him in the second leg of the semi-final of the Champions League back in 2021. He says, Tuchel told me that he was resting me for the second leg, and as a result, I didn't play a single minute in the Fulham game. Then, on match day of the second semi, Tuchel tells me he's changed his mind and he's going with Kai. I honestly was dumbfounded and very disappointed. I thought that I'd earned a start, and most importantly, he had assured me previously I was going to start. Other things, of course, he gets the assist that then leads them to beat Real Madrid. He says in the first leg, he made a run that Thomas Tuchel told him not to make, and then he scored a goal. Oh, it's very dramatic, Gab.
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing about this, which I find really fascinating, and we may get the answer to this, is having written several books with footballers in the past, I know there's a lead time in this. So it's not as if, oh, look, Tuchel's gone. Let me say all these bad things about him, and let me get all my criticism of Tuchel out of the way. He would have said this before, and the publishing schedule, I'm assuming, would have been set well when Tuchel was still there. So the message it sends to me is that Pulisic was prepared to come out and say these things, even with Tuchel in charge at Chelsea. And to me, that's a story. And, you know, that, depending how you read it, that means either Pulisic is extremely confident in his position, that he can say this and not hurt Tuchel's feelings or face repercussions, or maybe confident that he might be playing somewhere else after the World Cup. But, you know, we have to read this through the lens as something that, when he wrote it, he expected it to come out with Tuchel still in charge.
Okay. Why? Why do you need to write a book? You're a multi-millionaire.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I would say, though, that clearly and unsurprisingly, Tuchel had lost him. And so it makes no difference to Pulisic what Tuchel thinks of this book, whether Tuchel was still there or not, because he's completely lost him. You can't do that with players. If you tell a player something, or you promise a player something, and you don't, you turn around at the last minute and say, oh, by the way, I've changed my mind, you've lost him.
Right.
Forget it.
Right.
Forget it. And it's actually Tuchel's fault. I've done it myself. I've told a player at the beginning of the week, you know what, you're playing at the weekend. And as the week's going on, I've changed my mind, but I couldn't change it because I knew I would lose the player.
Right.
So that's down to Tuchel. You don't go telling players one thing, and then when it comes to it, you do something else. You completely lose the player, and quite clearly, Pulisic couldn't care less what Tuchel thinks. Otherwise, he wouldn't have put it in the book.
But just to go back to my original question, why? What have you got to gain by publishing this?
Well, because somebody's told you that people are interested in what you have to say, and you've got a story, and even though you're only 22, whatever it is...
24.
Just 24, sorry. There, people are interested. Well, that's why.
Get ready for the book franchise, because this is his journey so far.
Sure. And other footballers have done it, and we would be just as critical of them writing books at 22 and 23. This isn't a anti-Pulisic thing.
No.
This is me looking on the outside, looking in and thinking, what have you really got to gain by publishing this?
And when your story is not done or just yet, there's so much more for you to write in your career as a professional player, as an international player. There's so many more chapters in your life that you're gonna learn from and that you're gonna improve because you went through these experiences. And you are somehow focused on writing this book now because it's ahead of the World Cup, because it's gonna create some sort of buzz. I just don't see the point. I don't see what is it that you're achieving here. I don't see what you're gaining here. And again, I say it half jokingly, half seriously, but if you're writing your book and your title is My Journey So Far, it's because there's a second one coming. Yeah. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. At this point in his life, you know what he should be focused on? How can I get on the field and stay on the field consistently? That should be the main focus. How do I prepare myself best for the World Cup? How do I best represent my country? That's the focus. All the other stuff is distractions that you do not need. Nobody needs them. Not Christian Pulisic or not any other player.
And go on, Gab.
I just want to say I was a bit surprised by what Stevie said about, when you tell a player he's going to start and then you as a coach change your mind. I mean, I would have thought surely Tuchel's job depends on delivering results. And if he changes his mind, whether through gut instinct or whether because he simply changes his mind, surely as a coach, you have to put out whatever the best 11 you think is on that day, no matter what you might have told players before.
Well, yeah, but part of your job is to keep the players on side. So you're not going to keep anybody on side by telling them one thing, and particularly this situation, the semi-final of the Champions League, and you just pull the rug away. What do you think is going to happen? So, yes, things are not always black. Things are not just black and white, Gab. So, I can't argue that you have to.
So he should have never told them beforehand.
Absolutely not. He should have kept his trap shut. Yeah. He should never have told them he was going to play in the Champions League semi-final and then the day of pull the rug. What do you think is going to happen?
How do the teammates feel about this?
That makes sense.
This being public.
Well, the teammates don't really care.
Right.
The other players don't care. They'll all be laughing, going, "What are you doing writing a book? You're only 24." Right. And they'll go and do a five-a-side.
And that'll be it. And it'll be forgotten. It'll be no problem.
That'll be it. It'll be no problem.
Well, I would go as far as to say I would get a copy of the book and say, "Can you sign it for me? Can you dedicate it to me, please?"
Well, somebody's convinced them to do it because it will make money. Look, do this. It'll make money. People in America are interested. It was a big seller in America. So go and do it. And they did.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.